morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our MESAT Bulletin, and we shall start with our headlines. Iraqi forces move to retake another Mosul neighborhood. 6.9 magnitude earthquake strikes off Japan. And moving on to our details, starting with Iraq's fighting. Iraqi troops moved on Tuesday to retake another neighborhood in the eastern sector of the northern city of Mosul, but were facing stiff resistance from Islamic State militants. A top Iraqi commander of the special forces said IS fighters were targeting the forces with rockets and mortars as they slowly advanced in the densely populated Zuhur neighborhood. From another aspect, Iraqi troops began their siege of Zuhur on Sunday as they fortified their positions in neighborhoods they had already retaken in eastern Mosul. Suicide bombings and concerns over the safety of civilians have combined to slow down progress in the campaign to liberate the city. On to the Mideast crisis. An Israeli security guard shot and killed a Palestinian who charged toward him with a knife at a West Bank crossing. Israeli police spokeswoman said Tuesday's incident took place at the Qalandiya crossing north of Jerusalem. From another aspect, the shooting is the latest in a year-long wave of violence in which Palestinian attackers killed 36 Israelis and 2 visiting Americans. In addition, 225 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli fire during the same period. Meanwhile, several vehicles in a convoy that included Poland's prime minister collided during a state visit to Israel. Polish officials said the car carrying Prime Minister Beata Szydło was not one of those that collided. She was unharmed. The accident occurred late Monday as Szydło was being transported from Tel Aviv airport to Jerusalem at the start of Polish-Israeli discussions. Polish government spokesman also said that 2 Polish officials required medical attention but were not badly hurt. One was a government security guard and the other a staff member of the Prime Minister's office. In Ankara, Turkey's government has dismissed a further 15,000 people from the military, police and the civil service as part of an ongoing investigation into the failed military coup in July. Also within the 2 government decrees issued on Tuesday, the government shut down 500 associations, 19 health establishments and 9 media outlets. From another aspect, Turkey has accused US-based Muslim cleric Fethullah Gulen of masterminding the failed July 15 attempt to topple the government, which Gulen denies, and has launched a large-scale crackdown on his followers and institutions run by his movement. In addition, authorities have arrested close to 38,000 people and purged 100,000 others from government jobs. And going to Islamabad, a bombing targeted Pakistan's paramilitary force in the northwestern city of Peshawar on Tuesday, killing 3 officers and wounding 8. Police officials said the bomb, which was apparently detonated by remote control, went off as a patrol of paramilitary police was passing by, adding that the 8 wounded also included civilians. On the other hand, a Pakistani splinter Taliban group, Jamaatul Ahrar, claimed responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, on Tuesday, the army said a military court confirmed the death sentence of 10 Pakistani Taliban figures and their allies. The convicts were involved in the killings of several police and military officers, including 2 high-ranking officers. And moving on to the United States, a manhunt for a suspect in the fatal shooting of Texas police detective ended on Monday with an arrest in the killing that was one of several weekend attacks against law enforcement in multiple states. Authorities said the San Antonio detective was writing a traffic ticket when he was shot to death in his squad car Sunday morning outside police headquarters. Meanwhile, the 31-year-old man charged in the ambush shooting of Detective Benjamin Marconi said later Monday that he was angry with the court system for not letting him see his son and took it out on the officer. On another front, the driver of a school bus that was filled with elementary students when it crashed in Chattanooga, killing at least 5 children, has been arrested and faces charges including vehicular homicide. calling the Monday afternoon crash every public safety professional's worst nightmare. Chetunga police chief told an overnight news conference that the 24-year-old bus driver was charged with 5 counts of vehicular homicide. He was also charged with reckless driving and reckless endangerment. Police also said 35 students from kindergarten through 5th grade were on board when the bus flipped onto its side and wrapped around a tree. And moving on to natural crises, a 6.9 magnitude earthquake struck off Japan's Honshu Island on Tuesday, triggering tsunami waves and bringing back traumatic memories for locals of the devastating 2011 Fukushima disaster. The quake triggered a tsunami warning in Japan's Fukushima and Miyagi prefectures, causing the government to urge thousands to seek higher ground amid warnings waves could be up to 3 meters high. Moreover, Tuesday's quake struck close to the epicenter of the 2011 quake, just 37 kilometers southeast of Nami, at a depth of 11.4 kilometers. However, hours later, the warnings were dropped. 3 people were injured, while more than 1,900 homes briefly lost power, according to what police said. Meanwhile, 2 strong earthquakes rattled different parts of New Zealand on Tuesday, but there were no initial reports of serious damage or injuries. The first magnitude 5.6 quake struck off the coast of New Zealand's North Island at about 1:20 p.m. It was followed about 5 hours later by a magnitude 5.3 quake that struck the South Island. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center did not issue a tsunami warning for either of Tuesday's quakes. The epicenter of the first quake was about 200 kilometers northeast of Wellington, while the second quake was centered 78 kilometers northeast of Christchurch. And finally, our economic news. Global shares rose on Tuesday, tracking the overnight rally on Wall Street as oil prices pushed higher. France CAC 40 added 0.8% to 4,566.17 in early trading, while Germany DAX was up 0.7% at 10,755.64. US shares also drifted higher, with the futures adding 0.4% to 18,981, and S&P 500 futures added 0.4% at 201.10. Moreover, Japan's Nikkei 225 stock index added 0.3% to finish at 18,162.94. This comes as oil prices buoyed in markets. Benchmark US crude rose 10 cents to $48.34 a barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange, while Brent crude rose 24 cents to $49.14. And before ending our news, let's take another look at the most important headlines for today. Iraqi forces move to retake another Mosul neighborhood. 6.9 magnitude earthquake strikes off Japan. And we reached the end of our Misaad Bulletin for today. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow in a new bulletin.